Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely fascinating. We're going to synthesize some vast historical and theological sources to uncover the incredible human traits that connect the greatest figures in religious history. In this long chain of guidance sent to the world, there are names that just shine with this quiet and shakable strength. We're looking at ancient texts and profound narratives to see exactly what ties these monumental lives together.
So, ask yourself, what actually unites these historical giants across completely different eras and trials? Well, looking closely at the texts, they're united by what we call a prophetic continuum. It's not just a historical timeline. It's a shared, relentless mission of ethical reform and profound patience. From wandering ancient deserts to ruling massive kingdoms, they faced drastically different circumstances, yet anchored themselves to the exact same moral framework.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at the Qiyasas al-Anbiya, or the stories of the prophets. Our sources reveal that these figures weren't just mythical beings floating somewhere above human struggles. No, they were very real social reformers standing firmly against the corruption of their specific times. Their primary ethical task across the board was to mediate the covenant between the Creator and their communities, demanding both divine reverence and real human justice.
As you can see here, we have a vast, unbroken historical continuity, famously documented by scholars like Al-Tabari. What we're looking at is a chain of guidance stretching from Adam all the way to Muhammad. Each figure literally builds on the legacy of the last. They're all facing their own unique societal crises, but they respond with the exact same core set of universal ethics. All right, Section 1, Adam and the First Trial, the primordial battle of pride versus obedience. Let's kick things off at the very beginning of human history. The texts present this first trial not just as an origin story, but as the foundational psychological blueprint for pretty much all human conflict. When Adam was created from the earth, the angels bowed in obedience to the Creator, but Iblis, or Satan, refused. Citing his superiority as a creature of fire over one made of clay, he displayed pure, unchecked pride. In that moment, it sparked the eternal human conflict of jealousy and arrogance that every single prophet would eventually have to battle. We see this toxic jealousy immediately trickle down to Adam's sons, Habil and Qabil. When both offered a sacrifice and only Habil's was accepted, Qabil completely lost it to anger and violence. But the crucial takeaway here is Habil's response. He looked at his brother and said, "Even if you try to hurt me, I will not hurt you back." Habil proved that true strength actually lies in peaceful restraint. He set the gold standard for prophetic patience right then and there. Moving on to Section 2, Yusuf and patient perseverance, what the Quran calls the most beautiful of stories. Let's see how this restraint evolves.
Prophet Yusuf didn't just face a single, easily overcome hardship. We are talking about navigating decades of layered, consecutive trauma. I mean, think about it. He was violently betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a well, sold into human trafficking, falsely accused of a terrible crime just for maintaining his morals, and then left to rot in an Egyptian prison for years. So how in the world did he survive that? The sources emphasize one incredibly powerful word, sabr. It translates to patient perseverance through prolonged suffering. Yusuf's story brilliantly illustrates that patience is not some passive weakness. It's not just sitting around waiting for things to get better. It is an active, unshakable fortress of faith when the entire world is trying to break you. It's keeping your character rock solid when every single circumstance gives you an excuse to lose it.
Now for Section 3, Musa, Dawood, and the establishment of justice, leading with truth against tyranny. Let's shift our focus from personal patience to tackling massive societal oppression. When we map these themes of justice and patience out, a truly incredible and often overlooked exemplar emerges, Prophet Dhul-Kifl, the man of the pledge. The story goes that an elderly prophet was looking for a successor who could lead with a heart as steady as a mountain. He asked the crowd for a pledge, who would fast every day, pray every night, and, crucially, never lose their temper. While everyone else stayed dead silent, one young man stood up and simply said, "I will." Because he took this massive double portion of duty, this kifl, he became known as Dhul-Kifl. The texts tell us that Iblis tried relentlessly to break his spirit with distractions and incredibly difficult people. Yet like a deep well that stays totally cool, even in the brutal desert heat, he remained calm. He judged his people with absolute justice and proved that the greatest victory is the victory over your own self.
That same uncompromising demand for justice was mirrored by Musa, the most frequently named prophet in the Quran. He was tasked with confronting a tyrannical pharaoh who literally declared himself a god. Musa guided his people through a storm of persecution, using that same anchor of divine patience. When his people were utterly terrified, his consistent, steady counsel was, "Pray for Allah's help and be patient. The land belongs to Allah."
And similarly, Prophet Daud presents another fascinating angle on justice. Unlike Musa, who had to fight an empire from the outside, Daud actually ruled one. He was given incredible worldly power, immense knowledge, and a vast kingdom. Yet the text emphasized that he remained a remarkably humble, penitent, and impartial judge. He was strictly warned by the divine to never follow his own caprice over the objective truth.
And finally, Section 4, the ultimate role models. Let's see how this prophetic character shows up in everyday life. It's amazing to see how all these historical traits, the restraint of Habil, the sabr of Yusuf, the quiet steadfastness of Dhul-Kifl, and the justice of Musa, all culminated in the life of the final messenger, Prophet Muhammad. What's truly fascinating is that long before his prophethood, long before he had any followers or power whatsoever, his entire community simply called him Al-Amin, the trustworthy one. People would leave their life savings with him because his word was a lived reality. He didn't demand respect, he earned it through sheer, uncompromising honesty. His akhlaq, or character, wasn't just some abstract philosophy to debate. It was grounded in radical, everyday compassion. He treated the ultra-rich and the destitute exactly the same. He showed up for the marginalized people that society threw away. And most incredibly, echoing the extreme patience of all his predecessors, he stayed merciful even with those who actively hurt him and gave him absolutely zero reason to be kind. So, considering this breathtaking continuum of steadfastness across history, from Adam's first trial to the quiet power of Dhul-Kifl to Muhammad's unwavering character, the question we have to leave you with is this. In a modern world that is so full of shortcuts, online fakeness, and reactionary anger, how will you champion this ancient, unbreakable honesty and patience in your own daily life? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I hope this journey through the sources has given you a powerful new perspective to take forward.